This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
All right, welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me, I got Robert Alexander. What's going on, Rob?
What's up, man?
All right, a lot to talk about tonight. Let's start it right up, Rob. Omar Figueroa, Adrian Broner got a little bit of beef now, as we've been talking about off air, but Broner has backed out of the fight, citing mental health issues. Let's jump right into the thick of it, Rob. I know you got something to say. You kind of weren't speaking much because you wanted to hold that in for the show. So what is your take on this?
It's despicable. It's just despicable for the sport of boxing. Listen, I understand that mental health is a serious issue, especially in sports. Omar Figueroa has spoke on it because he's been a victim and had issues in the past with mental health. But he did what he needed to do. He figured out his struggles, and he's ready to return to the ring. We all know Adrian Broner is nuts. For lack of a better term. We all know he's nuts. We all know there's something wrong there. So why didn't he address this before? And why is he waiting the week of, with the week away of the fight to back out? That's a question. You can try to answer it. Why?
Why do you think that is? That's what I'm curious of. A lot of people are speculating he's just nowhere close in weight.
It's not even just the damn weight. It's everything. He wasn't ready for this fight, period. I don't even know why his dumbass keeps calling for fights. Okay? That's one issue. He's not prepared mentally. Yes, I agree he's not prepared mentally because he doesn't want to be. He's not prepared physically because he doesn't want to be. He didn't even want to take the fight, even though he took the fight. You're crying.
Thomas says, whatever, this has been done before. Do you agree with that? I mean, I'm agreeing, Thomas, but I think the problem is it's becoming a scapegoat now.
No, here's the problem. Here's exactly the problem. Is what I just said. Broner knew coming into this fight that he had mental issues. He should have addressed it by now in his career, period. The man is going broke. You heard it here first. We all know it. He's going broke. You can't sit up there and beg for a fight because you're about to go on welfare, which he has said before, and you sit here and beg for a fight, and then you back out of these fights talking about you're not mentally ready. Nobody is going to give you another shot. Nobody should give you another shot here. The man is on the cusp of being on Skid Row, period. That's where he belongs. He belongs on Skid Row with the rest of the guys out there that are homeless and mentally unstable and don't know how to take care of them damn selves.
Tell me how you really feel, Rob. Do you believe he's using it as a scapegoat? I mean, you already said you believe he has some mental issues, right?
He wasn't ready for the fight, period. He wasn't ready for the fight, period. He blew all the smoke to try to get paid and didn't want to work at it. That's the problem with Adrian Broner. Let's go back to the history of Adrian Broner, okay? He's illiterate. Hate to say it, but we know the man personally. He is illiterate. He has no other skills besides boxing because that's what his father put him in at an early age, and that's all they taught the man. So he has nothing to fall back upon. Nothing at all. I don't even see him being able to hold his own in commentary at all, even. So fight is your only way of making a living for yourself. If that's the only way of putting food in food on your children's table, let's not even say for him, food for your children. Why are you backing out? Why are you being such a dummy when it comes to your career, your mental health, all of the above?
Yeah, that's pretty well said. Sakura says, "Hello, guys. We miss you too. Hope you feel better soon." Michelle said, "You are so unkind tonight, Rob."
I'm calling it like it is. But now we're sick of this with Adrian Broner, okay? The man has a little bit of star power. With the little bit of star power he had left, he was able to make this fight, and he still can't do it. You're a bum. You deserve to go on Skid Row. Get him out of the sport.
So, whether it's being used as a scapegoat or not, I mean, that's irrelevant, I guess, because it's not going to change. I think that can be used right now, but is a lot of issues are coming in stemming from Omar basically replying and saying you should have to show proof, like show us proof that you actually went and actually tried to get any help on your mental health. Guys, do you think he has any recourse for that? Because a lot of fire back on him is coming from that, and him saying that. I don't know. For me, if you're under contract, right? Somebody's been training their ass off, waiting to get in a fight, and you don't make it. I think for no matter what reason that is, right? I don't care if you just shitting yourself unbelievably. You know, you had some bad tacos. I want a doctor's excuse. I want something, you know. But it sounds like they were already prepared for this to go bad, right? They had Lipinets waiting on the bench, and they brought him in. Do you think it is wrong of him to ask for that? To ask for, hey, show me that your hand's actually broken, or show me that you actually are trying to do something about your mental health? Or are you just using it to get out of this fight?
Um, hey James.
Can't hear you, James. Nope. Nope. Rob, go ahead for right now until we get his fix.
I think Omar said it pretty well. He's been through this. He actually did the work. He actually went to the doctors. He listened. He set a treatment plan for himself. Let's face it, Omar hasn't been in the ring for as long as probably as Broner has, even. So Omar's addressed those issues and he's now ready to fight. Broner hasn't. He hasn't. And we all know there's been something wrong with the man for a while now. So I don't blame him for asking for proof on that. Because number one, I'm not denying the fact that there are mental issues there, but number two, I'm denying the fact that you're not trying to get help or treatment. And three, if you are, why wait now? Why wait till the week of the fight? If you knew that these issues always have been a problem, why you decide to work on fixing yourself now when you're taking money out of people's hands?
That's my thing. Like, I think he should have to do that. He should have to show why you're backing out. I mean, if you can't make weight, then say the real reason. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not even the weight though, Lucas. He's not ready to fight. Period.
I think he's not ready on all across the board, though. I would bet you he's not not ready weight wise. He's not ready mental wise. He didn't prepare. I think the whole nine. He didn't do any of it. Didn't do any of the work.
Didn't do anything exactly, which is why we need to get him out of the sport. We need to get him out of the sport. It's unfortunate, but like I told you, the man has no other skills, no other skill set. He needs to learn this lesson. Unfortunately, it's going to be a hard lesson, like many people do. I could see him out on the street in a year.
I mean, it's sad to say, but I think he might need a handler. You know, I mean, Tyson in his early age, he had Customato, but there's there's another person that has some mental health issues right there, right? Mike Tyson.
Adrian Broner has pissed on his career so much. He's past that. He's past that at this point.
I would agree. I mean, I don't. There's this bad stigma about mental health. I say, get your diagnosis and wear it with pride. Tyson Fury did it. He overcame it. Why do you think people are? Do you think it's more of fighters are ashamed to have something mentally wrong with them?
Listen, I thought something real interesting that I heard from the interview this weekend with Teofimo Lopez. I found it real interesting when he said how dark he got after his last loss and after everything was going on to where he was contemplating suicide.
Man.
So it definitely is a problem, but it's not something to where you can't seek out help, you can't seek out treatment, and you can't get yourself on the road back to being in the ring and fighting. The issue with mental health is it's a ever-evolving thing. Even with treatment, you're still going to have symptoms, you're still going to have issues, you're still going to have problems, but it can get you to a healthy spot to where you can continue a career and have a long-lasting career. And these guys in the ring anyway, they're subjecting themselves to a lot of punishment, especially with the gloves. It's hard to say what percentage of fighters actually have mental issues or brain injuries for that matter.
I mean, that's all we've been hearing lately. It was Danny Garcia, it was Teofimo, I mean, Ryan Garcia, and now he's just the latest, So Broner's the latest to fall to all this. So I don't know. I'm not saying that mental health isn't enough excuse. I'm simply saying that I don't want it to become a scapegoat, and that's what I'm afraid is going to happen.
It was for Broner in this instance. It definitely was for Broner. I tip my hat off to fighters like Omar Figueroa, who are now back in the ring. Ryan Garcia, who's now back in the ring and just as good as he was beforehand. Mike Tyson went through all those mental issues. He's now back he returned to the ring, 2 years ago. So you got to commend the guys that are wanting to get help and do it the right way, as opposed to somebody calling off a fight and probably should be their last fight, period. I mean, I don't have nothing else to say about Broner, period. I mean, the man's been a letdown his whole career, and this is just the icing on top of the cake for me. I don't want to see him in the sport. James?
Well, I have to agree with you on that. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
I got to agree with you on that, and there's always been issues there. It's not the first time. I mean, it's a issue with discipline more than anything. I mean, that's what I see. In the end, he's always done it to himself. It's not the first time. So, based on what you guys were saying earlier, there's really not a lot you can do to prove this is a medical issue. You really don't have access to his records or anything. So if he's going to make that claim, that's it. But all I can tell you is that I'm pretty much done with the guy, and he's always had those discipline issues, and it's time for him to move on to something else, and hopefully Figueroa has a good fight.
James just touched on something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because James just touched on something that's very important here, because there's two different sides to this issue. There is discipline and mental health, okay? Mental health is one thing. I understand if you're depressed, you don't want to get out of bed, you're not going to want to train properly, you're not going to be on weight because of the depression. You might mix in with some alcoholism, maybe even some drug problems. I understand that part. But the discipline part of what James is speaking on is you don't get help early on. You don't get treatment. You don't do these things to get yourself ready. You don't call out fighters. You don't call out for fights. You don't beg your promoters to get you to get their money put up involved and give you a fight like this. You don't have the promoters go out and promote the damn fight. You don't have an opponent prepare himself and get ready for a fight. That's the disciplinary issues of it, and that's why I want him gone. Do I see him being gone yet? I can't tell, Lucas, but I want him gone.
He's still a name, guys. Do you actually think he is gone, James?
Yeah, after this, I think PBC's done with him. There's no reason to keep him around.
PBC's done with him, but I mean, if nothing else, I do see him getting picked up by a smaller promotion. I mean, if nothing else, it'll be a name for, somebody else's roster to beat up on. I honestly think Broner's career was set off wrong from the start. I think he emulated Mayweather a little bit too much. I think he tried to base his style completely on that, and subsequently, he's not the best defensive fighter, especially after the 135. He needed to adapt, and he didn't do it. He started taking a lot of punishment, and that's definitely contributing, I think, towards his mental health issues.
Well, you raise a good point there, Lucas, and I'm going to bring this up again in a little bit here when we talk about Teofimo Lopez. There's a problem that I have with some of these guys, some of these boxers especially, that dictate what happens in training, what happens in the corner, what happens, how they're handled, how they're managed, all of the above. There's a little bit of issue that I'm taking with that, and that's the problem I think is with Broner. With his daddy just wanted to please him instead of walk him up and being a disciplined fighter and being a disciplined boxer, even being a disciplined man, because his personal life is undisciplined, just as undisciplined and as erratic as his issues are in the ring. So that's the problem when you control your narrative in all things and all facets that you do, and like these fighters have mental health issues. That's not a good thing.
I agree. I think he needs better crew. I mean, he needs better people around him, more militant, more disciplinary militant type trainers, and I don't think he wants to seek that. He's comfortable with what he has. So unless big things change, I agree with you guys. I think this is going to be it for Broner.
The word is disciplined.
Yeah, and James, I want to ask you, because you've been around the sport a long time now. When it comes to these guys, and in particular, especially their trainer, why are these guys not listening to the trainers? And they know what's best of them.
The only thing I can say is that they're not with their trainer 24/7. They go to the gym, they visit, they do their workout, and then they have, the rest of the day to goof off. And, if you're not using your mind, you're wasting it. And that's what a lot of these guys do. And then there's, the outside influence as well. They got their friends, they got their rappers, they got their nice cars, they got all the women. There's a lot of distractions outside of the gym. Boxing ain't for everyone.
Oh, that's right.
Discipline is the word.
So, right. So, and that's an issue. And I want to speak on that when we touch it.
To answer your question, the trainer yells at you when you're inside the gym. When you're outside the gym, there's no one to yell at you and keep you in line. Some people don't need that.
Some don't. I think Broner and there's some fighters that are like him that probably need it outside the ring as well. They need to be managed 24/7, and Broner, I don't think it's managed in or out. He's just kind of allowed to do what he wants to do. I think that's part of the problem.
And that shouldn't be. Why? Because even the two fighters we're talking about right now, with Broner and with T.O., your father is your trainer. How are you not going to listen to your father? And if you're not going to listen to your father, you ain't going to listen to nobody over there.
Nope. And I think even like we talked about, if we did somehow get a militant trainer, I think he'd be like, who the fuck are you? And he wouldn't listen to him anyway. Like, I'm Adrian Broner. Who are you? You know what I mean? So it would just throw it all away anyway. I'm kind of leaning towards you guys now. I think he's basically done, unless he's willing to, like I said, play gatekeeper. And I don't know if he's willing to do that or not. I mean, he might not have a choice. I don't think he has any other way to make money. He's going to have to continue to do this. Like you said, Rob, he's really not prepared for anything else. And that's the sad truth that is Adrian Broner's facing right now. Mental health issues or not, he's going to have to get right back in that ring. Whether he's prepared physically or mentally, it's not going to matter soon. I mean, your money only lasts so long, and then you're going to be right back at it. So,
I just wonder how much money he's holding now. I probably would think that he blew his savings and blew his reserve cash, and maybe blew some of his, receivables. The money that he's got coming is probably gone as well.
I was going to say,
in terms of debt, I
wouldn't put it past Heyman to give him an advance on this fight. And now with that gone, Ralphie says, do you think Adrian did have a chance to beat Omar? I really think he had a good chance. Me, I was leaning towards no. I think it was a bad stylistic matchup for Broner. Omar does slouch down and kind of give up his height. So he had a shot, but with the way Omar is and the volume, I don't know if Broner would have been able to keep up. Guys, what do you think?
I think it's interesting to see what Omar we see or will see, what we would have seen versus Broner or what we will see versus Lipinets. He's changed his style dramatically over the years. He's gone on to this really strange, offensive, weird thing that he does now, with his hands down low and moving his head when there's no punches coming, and like all that extra movement that he does that he's done in this last fight. Basically, that is just a waste of time and energy. It's hard to say, but I would ask you to go back and look at that fight against Nihito Arakawa. I believe that was here in the United States, and it's a few years ago. One of the best fights he's got on his resume. That was tough, but his fighting style was just great. He was just a really good, clean puncher, very, very efficient, exciting. That's a hell of a fight. You got to go watch that, even if you just take the highlights. Exceptional fight. Great style. He could take on anyone in his division at that rate, but he's changed it. He's changed up a bit. Who knows what we'll see from Omar?
I think Omar may end up losing to Lipinets. I don't know. I think Lipinets is actually a more even fight for me. I think Adrian would have gotten beat, but that's just my 2 cents. Rob, answer Ralphie's question, buddy.
Adrian Broner answered it himself. Okay, the issue always with Broner is if he's mentally prepared, mentally and physically prepared, and as James said, disciplined. If he's disciplined in camp, he has a good training camp, he could go out there talent-wise and beat Omar. He definitely could. But as you see what happened here, Broner's not ready for that. He's not disciplined. He's not physically ready. He's not even mentally there. Therefore, there was no way he was going to beat him.
I got to agree with Sakura, too. I think it's a harder fight than Broner would have been, and that's why he's super pissed at Broner. Yeah, fight Lipinets, man. I was ready to beat up you. I kind of agree. I think Broner was, not prepared. You've seen the fight, obviously, with Broner Maidana. Maidana put a beating on him. Broner, if you say anything else about Broner, he has one hell of a fucking chin. That dude can take a punch. But over the years, I'm not so sure if Omar might not have been able to get him out of there. His defense is not what it once was. Broner's, this Philly shell has all but disappeared. I mean, it's dissipated so bad. He did not, like I said, he didn't adapt to that higher weight class. After 135, it just kind of went away. And then he's so stringent with his punches, like so stingy. He didn't want to let his hands go anymore. And Omar just throws such a high rate. I would think that Broner was going to be in trouble. So it sounds like we're all answered Ralphie's question.
This is a big fight for Lipinets now.
It is.
He's at a point in his career.
He
really needs this win.
Yeah.
To stay relevant. This is big for him.
And it's going to be a hard-fought win if he can pull it out. Like Sakura always says, that last second syndrome there, that replacement syndrome, that always has a factor. He's been preparing for Broner, and now he's got to prepare for Lipinets with a week left. So it is not
but
good.
one thing, at least we're going to get a competitive fight.
I hope so. And I agree with you. I think we will. All right, let's talk a little bit about AJ. We've been hearing rumors. AJ's just dropping guys in sparring. I don't know who he's sparring against, but the rumor says that he has been dropping them. Over 13 people, he's dropped every one of them. So let's talk a little bit about this fight coming up here, obviously in Saudi Arabia. We got AJ dropping people, and I think Usyk's more filling out now to fit that heavyweight role. Guys, do you see a different fight coming this Saturday than what the original one was, or all that doesn't matter, all that talk that they're doing about dropping sparring partners? I think a lot of it's like it's not selling as much as what they would like. They're trying to blow some steam, and it's falling flat for me.
Well, the good news there is that it's not pay-per-view, because I'm down with pay-per-views, man. I was really pleasantly surprised. But as far as AJ and dropping people, yeah, you can drop people during sparring. That's all fine. You got to drop your opponent in the ring, and that's a tall order for AJ. Given Usyk's skills, he's got some extraordinary skills. And if he's bulked up a little bit and, will hold his ground and fire back at a high rate, I think Joshua's in trouble. I think Usyk is a slight favorite in this fight. I think it's very slight, though.
I think he should be.
That will change in the next few days.
Right.
Yeah, it might grow.
Sakura, thank you for last-minute replacement syndrome. I was trying to remember what you say all the time. Thank you. I appreciate that. But no, AJ, Rob, what's your take? Is it going to be a different fight? Are you froze?
He's froze. Yeah, as far as stylistic, the matchup, I think we're looking at the same thing. I think what we can see is Joshua that's a little bit more aggressive this time. But there's one caveat with Joshua, and that's how he gasses himself. He carries a lot of muscle. And who knows how that's going to play out. If he's gonna come in slugging it out, he's going to have to pace himself, because we know that he does gas out late in the round. Excuse me, he does tend to gas out. So that's the one issue I see with Joshua. Can he thump? He's good. Does he have defense? He's good. Does he have a jab? He has everything he needs. I just think he needs to hang in there for the 3 minutes. If he can do that, he's golden.
Rob gone again. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would ask you, James, because you're looking at this fight. That last fight, he started to do a little bit better when he got aggressive. Joshua, do you, if you're in his corner, do you tell him to start a little earlier like that?
I think he's got to be aggressive from the get. If he loses early rounds to Usyk, it's and he's in the red. If he's in the hole, it's just hard to get out of the tank with someone like Usyk in front of you. He's going to continue coming forward, sticking and moving if that's his plan. If he takes some head on and fights inside, it's going to be a long night for Joshua. So I think the only way around that is for him to really apply pressure continuously. He let up a lot in his first fight. There he is. And so, he had some moments again, I'll just go back to the same thing. He gasses out late in the round. That's not good. I'd rather see him fight consistently throughout the round, meaning that he's not so balls out from the get, but really pacing himself to fight effectively for 3 minutes. He's not doing it.
Listen, this is a huge fight. It is for both men. And as far as ticket sales, James, I think Saudi Arabia does have a great show. So I think regardless, the fanfare that we get here, how many views it may get, which I think AJ, especially when he fights overseas, usually has a ton of views. So I don't think they have a problem there. I do think AJ is ready and prepared. As far as him knocking out sparring partners left and right, I mean, who's the sparring partners? For one. And for two, they always say that, don't they? They always say, oh, I'm having a great camp. I've been knocking people out left and right. Well, who have you been knocking out, and is it true? Okay, that's the real question. But I don't think it matters. We will see a better AJ. We'll probably see the best AJ we've seen yet. But there's still, even seeing the best yet, there's still question marks. As far as Usyk goes, I think Usyk knows AJ is coming for blood. We're going to see the best Usyk we've ever seen, which are also question marks, because I don't think we've seen either of these two fighters at their very, very best. So we're going to have an explosion Saturday, because you're going to see both at the very best you've ever seen them. And that's scary, because we don't know how good that is yet. That being said, I think if it plays out two ways. If it's a chess match, it's Usyk. I don't think AJ can outbox Usyk. Usyk is so underrated on his boxing ability because he's a heavyweight now. When he was a cruiserweight, they underestimated his boxing ability. The man can box with the best of them in this division, especially. Might be the best boxer in the heavyweight division right now. So I don't think he's going to outbox him. If it's a chess match, Usyk has that. If it's more physical this time, which it should be, AJ should have the edge in physicality. Because let's face it, he's been at the weight the most. He's been at the heavyweight his whole career. And he's fought the best in the heavyweight division as far as opponents go between him and Usyk. So AJ should have the advantage in the power game. What's going to come down to play is the pressure. That's what it's going to come down to. Who will feel the pressure the most and who will break first?
I think the pressure is more on AJ, if you ask me. But
I'm not talking about that though, Lou. I'm not talking about the pressure outside the ring. Once the bell rings, that's gone. I'm talking about the pressure being put forth in the ring.
Well,
that's what I want to see.
Something that we mentioned while you were resetting there, and I'm thinking if he comes out, hot and heavy, he's just going to have a hard time finishing the round in that style, because you got to keep it up. You got to be consistent. Otherwise, Usyk comes back, makes a strong comeback. And what I've seen in Joshua is that he doesn't finish the round like he starts. He tends to peter out a little bit, tends to gas out. And that physique doesn't help him. He's got a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, unfortunately, for AJ, because he does better when he's active like that and aggressive, but he can't afford to be aggressive like that all the time, because mid-fight, he's going to have nothing left,
Well, that depends.
So
did he address that? Did he address that, though?
I already can tell you that. I mean, a lot of fighters don't change, especially not this late in their career. I don't know if he's all of a sudden started doing a bunch of cardio and turned into this, stamina guy. I don't see it. It's mainly the muscle mass, and that does not go away, just between last fight and this fight. It's not going to happen. But AJ's already got a ton of pressure on him. I would say to try to box and then try to steal that last 30 seconds, get really aggressive, try to steal that last 30 seconds of each round, because I don't think, like you both are saying, that AJ can stand that kind of stamina and be able to hang in there in those late rounds if he just goes all out. I think he needs to be on his horse, be defensive, and be countering in the beginning of the rounds, and then towards the end he needs to let go. That's the only way he can win this fight. Because
I
don't think he's knocking him out. I don't think there's any way he knocks Usyk out.
No. But I think that if Usyk applies pressure early in the rounds, he's going to control the fight. I don't see AJ fighting his way out of that. I just want to see an aggressive Usyk, take it right at him and see what kind of response he gets.
Kind of scared of an aggressive Usyk.
I'm not. I don't know if that'll play out for him. I don't know if that'll play out for him. I think if he makes it a chess match and he goes in and out boxes AJ with this issues with stamina and all that, like Lucas is saying, I think that's his game plan. His game plan is pretty much to do what he did last fight, but do it sharper. Do it more and do it sharper. If he does a sharper job of outboxing him the whole fight, then that would be to his advantage, I think. But I mean, I'll save the rest for my prediction.
I think it's about that time, Rob. I mean, I honestly see it kind of going the same way. I don't think there's going to be any knockouts happening. I'm going to say unanimous decision for the most part. Usyk. I mean, I'll give maybe 2 or 3 rounds for AJ. But, other than that, I think Usyk pretty much walks away with this one.
I'm thinking that we might see Usyk, by unanimous decision. If not, I'm thinking maybe Usyk takes him out late 11th or 12th.
I mean, if he starts to look at that last fight, yeah. Whew.
Yeah, I'm thinking very much of the same with more of an aggressive Usyk this time. And the good possibility is that he takes him out late. Let's see how that goes.
Don't nobody leave this show yet. Don't nobody leave this show yet. Listen, all the pressure outside the ring right now is on Joshua. It's all on Joshua. Joshua is the one who lost the last fight. He does have the question marks. He has one loss already that he was able to avenge, but the opponent he's facing in Usyk is not like Ruiz, okay? Ruiz was, who he was. Usyk is a much, much better boxer. I think Usyk has the advantage in this fight, all the advantage in this fight, because he's a more masterful boxer than Anthony Joshua. Because all that pressure is on Anthony Joshua to perform. Because all the question marks that we have about Anthony Joshua, including the chin. Anthony Joshua's knocking his ass out. He's knocking him out. He is not losing this fight. He's not going out like that. He's ready to avenge that loss. And the only way he does it is by knockout. Anthony Joshua, KO victory, shutting all of y'all up.
I mean, James, correct me if I'm wrong, but Usyk hasn't even been down before, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he hasn't even hit the canvas, Rob. And you think AJ's going to spark him?
What'd I say? You heard it here first. When you tune in next Tuesday, you're going to hear me gloating and carrying on, and I might even play We Are the Champions because I'm 100% confident in this.
Okay. Now, I got to say, if you're right, then somebody's coming out of retirement, right? And his name is Fury. If that were to happen, if Joshua walks out with a knockout, Fury's back.
You got somebody that agrees with you, Rob. Ralphie says AJ will win. I feel he stop him.
And we know best. We know what's best. Usyk is not a true heavyweight. Okay, Joshua ain't playing no games. He's knocking him out.
But I do agree. I do agree with James. I think Fury comes back out of retirement for that fight. It's such a mega fight,
I think
And
that's
don't get me wrong, I think AJ is good for boxing. It's good for boxing if he wins. Unfortunately, not a lot of people really like Usyk. Usyk doesn't have this huge following. He's just really, really good at what he does. But other than that, he's not going to be a headliner of any kind of mega fight, unfortunately.
Well, that was the
Right.
game that Fury played this week, and he retired, and I guess his belt became vacant and all that. I'm thinking he's just itching to get back in the game if, in fact, Joshua wins. But here's another question. I'm thinking that Joshua is going to face an Usyk that's bigger and stronger this time around.
I don't get him bigger. He
I,
might
I,
be strong. He might be stronger.
I think he's put on some weight and put on some muscle.
That could be two different things, right?
It looks that way to me.
So it could benefit him or it could go against him. Maybe part of why he was doing well at the heavyweight and why he did so well is because he was a little bit more agile. He was able to box a little bit more beautifully. He might be a little slower with all that added weight on him.
Well, he's Eastern European. They move very well.
I hope we do see a better Usyk in this fight. I do. But I do have to question this, y'all. And I've said this time and time again. And we've talked about this throughout the show. What mental capacity is he in right now, being that he's just coming back from a war? And not a war in the ring, an actual war in his country.
Well, once you've been to war, I think, boxing will come easy. I don't think... I think boxing's like a day off if you compare it to war. So I don't really know if that's going to play too much part of it. I think if anything, it's not been able to train, not be able to do his normal regiment. I think that may be an issue. But other than that, I really don't think that's going to be too huge a part.
Well, hopefully there's a ceasefire on Saturday and they can all watch.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. But I'm thinking of the emotions. Lucas. You don't think that he's going to be really emotional going into this fight, being what he's carrying on his heart?
If it was somebody else, I would say maybe, but Usyk's able to he's like a Bivol, he's just super disciplined. I don't think he's going to let anything else out on that. He's not going to fall into any kind of mental traps. He's very, very well disciplined mentally and physically. So no, I really don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for him.
We'll see.
He seems to have a good head on his shoulders, and I think that what's gone on in his country is going to be probably to his advantage from an emotional standpoint. I think that's really going to push him forward.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, he's actually going to have more fan backing with everything that's going on right now. So a lot more people cheering, if nothing else, just for the fact that he's Ukrainian.
I understand that he or maybe his team or someone close to him bought the rights in Ukraine so that the entire country could watch this.
That's awesome.
It's just a shame that what's going on in his country, but I think they're going to make it through.
True. Now, Lucas, if I may, before you go to your next topic, I want to throw something in there. Before you go, yes. We need to talk about this because this is a big deal in my eyes. But, guys, on this event in Saudi Arabia, with everything that has gone on historically in the country, we actually do have a women's fight on the main card in Saudi Arabia. With Rama Ali. Mm-hmm. Rama Ali actually, believe it or not, she was a refugee. And now she's an actual role model in the sport and has a big bout on this fight card in Saudi Arabia, which being the history of the country is huge. So a lot of people have been boycotting Saudi Arabia hosting sporting events, period. Guys, this is a step in the right direction, and Ali brings it And with everything she has going on in her past, she's a big story, not just for women, but in the sport, period. So that is something to be said. If you're going to look at the card, definitely look at her and root her on the victory. It's probably going to be a tough fight, but it is good that we get to see that in at this level.
Is she going to be part of the televised part of it?
I believe so. Yeah, everything that I heard, she is on the undercard on the main card.
Huh. That is a big change for Saudi Arabia for sure.
Well, her being on the card, period.
Right.
But I believe Eddie Hearn and them wants her to be on the main card. It might change. It might have changed, but from what I understand, they were putting it on the main card.
One person that probably will never fight would be Ebony Bridges.
I wouldn't mind.
I don't think anybody minds, but Saudi Arabia.
Why do you have to bring my girlfriend into this?
Baby steps, Lucas. Baby steps. See, there I go on some positive stuff, and you got to go ahead and do that.
Checks and balances, Rob. Checks and balances. I wanted to come back to Ralphie's comment here. Manuel Navarrete versus Eduardo Baez, and I'm sure he will. Who should be next? Ray Vargas or Gary Russell, Leah Santa Cruz. Plenty of good matchups in their division. So, guys, this fight this weekend here, I wanted to get your take on it. Ralphie started a little early, so I just had to come back to this comment. But, of course, this is for Navarrete's WBO featherweight title. Going to be a great fight. This one's on ESPN or ESPN Plus?
Plus.
Is it on the Plus? One I can actually watch then, so that'll be good. Let's see, where did it go? Score says, Ralphie, I'm ready for Navarrete versus Leo or Russell, but Gary doesn't look like he's ready to come back and is enjoying coaching now. Agree there? All right. So who you guys like in this fight? We got Navarrete Baez.
I'm not too familiar with Eduardo Baez. Navarrete is probably going to take him out early. He's just a very aggressive fighter. If it goes the distance, Navarrete either way. Hopefully it's a good fight. And they are fighting at featherweight, right? I'm having trouble bringing that one up, but looks that way.
So do you think this is more of just a stay busy? And if so, who do you want him to see him fight next?
Top dogs for sure. I mean, there's no reason why he should be doing any tune-ups or stay bases or anything like that. This guy's a champion fighter. He should be rolling with all the big boys. Probably not necessary for him to have any tune-ups or anything like that. It's either a defense or a unification or something along those lines.
I would like to see the Leo Santa Cruz next for me. I mean, it's been a while. I think Leo needs thrown back in there. I feel like I haven't seen Leo fight in forever.
That's true.
But this fight will definitely be playing second fiddle this weekend. Of course, we're going to be looking at the DAZN card. But
Well, let me answer those questions to you anyway, because you know how I feel. First of all, it's not the weight class I want to see, so I really won't be paying much attention to this fight whatsoever. As far as Navarrete's opponent next, I want to see him move up in weight, because he's just killing all these flyweights right now. I need to see him make this stretch to move up and above in weight, proving to be a pound-for-pound fighter like he should be. I need to see you move up and continue to conquer the divisions as you move up.
Well,
anyway, that being said, I like Navarrete.
Well, tell me he froze up again.
opponent. I
Yeah,
just don't know who he is because I don't follow that damn weight class.
He's a featherweight, so he'd be moving up to 130 if he moved up. And there's some dogs, some big dogs in 130. We just saw Akhmadaliev fight, and and then there's Stephen Fulton. So that could be. Those are two really tough tests, but I think that they will eventually fight. So hard to say. But at 126, this is a featherweight WBO title up for grabs, and so maybe the next one would be a unification. Who knows? It's hard to say. He's a Samper fighter, so they tend to, cross the street and fight other promoters' fighters.
For sure.
So I mean, he can fight a top rank guy. He can fight a PBC guy. It's all good.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't like that weight class. I don't follow any of it. Move up in weight.
Skura, sorry I didn't see these comments on the last topic, but for them to approve this fight, I'm shocked. Talking about Ali, and I have to give them credit. I'm a huge fan of Australian Susie Q, so they should not sleep on her. And then, of course, I brought up Ebony, so she said, LOL, boobs too much for Ebony. Yeah, it kind of gets you banned from, Saudi Arabia, but that's okay. She's going to be a big hit here in the States.
Oh, she is.
The fight card itself isn't bad if you just go over it. Just saying, you do have Callum Smith on the card, Badu Jack on the card as well. So it's not a bad. It's actually not a bad card.
Is Badu Jack on that card?
What I'm saying,
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
okay.
fighting Richard Rivera.
He's at cruiserweight now.
Well,
Badu Jack is fighting at cruiserweight.
That's new.
Light heavy.
Callum Smith is light heavy. Badu Jack is having this fight at cruiserweight.
Unless it's been changed, what I'm reading is Badu Jack versus Rivera, 10 rounds at light heavyweight.
Yeah, I got it listed as cruiserweight, and this is on DAZN's website.
Well, I'm using your ESPN. That's direct, right? So, guys, out of the top three,
I don't think it's 175. I think it's cruiser. Okay. I'm pretty sure, but
ESPN got it wrong. Yeah. We're right. They're wrong.
All right. Out of the three main events here, of course, we're talking Usyk Joshua, Navarrete Baez, and now Figueroa Lipinets. Give me which one do you think is going to be the most competitive, and which are you looking forward to the most?
I think Figueroa Lipinets can be pretty exciting fight because Omar, he just brings it.
I think that would be the most competitive,
a come forward fighter. So you're looking at two dogs that are coming at each other. There's not going to be a lot of boxing there. It's going to be a brawl. They're going after each other. It's going to be a dogfight.
For sure. You agree, Rob?
That undercard in that fight too is going to be a competitive fight. So that card in itself is competitive, but it's not the big draw. It's not the big draw at all this weekend. The biggest fight this weekend, period, and the most competitive, all wrapped into one. Usyk Joshua, huge fight, huge heavyweight fight. It's going to be a huge production over there in Saudi Arabia. The fight card is decent. You're going to have some decent bouts leading into that fight. But the big show is Usyk Joshua. There's going to be fireworks. It's outdoor. I think it's an outdoor stadium. If I remember correctly, it is an outdoor stadium.
Yeah.
And those fireworks are massive out there. Joshua's going to play like it's the Super Bowl for him, of course. But Usyk is the champion. That's going to be the fight. That's going to be the huge draw. I don't care about nothing else.
And this is for all of the belts, the ring belt, just not the WBC, right?
No, it's all of the belts. Yes.
There's no WBC in there.
Yeah,
It's
it's all
BOBA and IBF.
yeah, all of them but the WBC, which the WBC, did they say what we're gonna do as far as the heavyweight title is
He
concerned?
he
With
just he,
Well,
he
it's
just
vacant.
gave it to him, right? Yeah,
It's
he
vacant.
just gave it to him.
is vacant currently?
Yeah.
Oh no, Fury just walked away.
Fury just literally just gave up that belt this week.
And it's not up for grabs
When
here.
you said gave it to him, I thought you meant they just awarded it to Usyk.
No.
So they're gonna actually do like an elimination, and somebody will be fighting for it. So that'll be cool. But that's pretty much all I had, guys. Rob, did you have any rapid fire for tonight?
No, I wanted to talk about the women's bout this weekend. I pretty much covered that and everything. I do have some rapid fires coming up in the next couple of weeks, like next Tuesday, but I want to make sure we get everybody involved in that because it's going to be back to some regular rapid fire type stuff.
I'm looking forward to that. James, nothing else you wanted to touch on? Just making sure before we end the show.
Well, no, I know that we've had Kenny Sims on the show in the past, and I know he's coming up this weekend too. So shout out to Kenny Sims, and good luck to you, baby.
Shout out, especially they have a special on Showtime with him coming up called Ringside. If y'all want to check out a good boxing documentary, it was him and another local fighter there in Chicago, Lucas. Showtime actually followed him around and did a documentary special about their careers and Kenny Smith Sr. and how he was handling his son. It's a good documentary.
That is, yeah, Kenny Sim, would love to have you back on soon. But for James and Rob, this was Tough Talk, and we'll see you again next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good night.